The mystic Bernadette Roberts talks about the importance of open mind. I'll be back in a minute and share a few thoughts on that subject. When our spiritual journey is authentic, it opens us to a depth of wisdom we're unable to imagine when we take those first tiny steps on the journey to a deeper life. I've learned over the years that our individual spiritual journey is often very similar to those who walked the spiritual path ahead of us. Because of that simple reality, they have much to teach us if we are willing to empty our personal ego of all the things we think we know and listen to their wisdom with an open mind. Like so many of history's enlightened minds, I too began my spiritual search for the wholeness inside the walls of organized religion. And like them, instead of the wholeness I was searching for, I too found myself struggling to make sense of the many religious beliefs that were taught as, quote, absolute truth. Truths that only fragmented the world into categories of good and bad, right and wrong. It was a painful journey filled with conflict and pain in those early years as I struggled to belong and accept religious beliefs and teachings that made very little sense to my 21st century understanding of reality. Eventually, my anger and disappointment at the rejection and judgment I felt from the, quote, true believers drove me away from the Christian church and into the spiritual paths of non-duality and non-dual thinking. What follows is a brief look into my understanding of what it means to embrace the non-dual wisdom and open-mindedness that Jesus and all of the world's great spiritual teachers have tried so hard to teach us. The evolved and spiritually enlightened level of human consciousness found only in those who are true spiritual contemplatives. Non-duality and open mind are synonymous. First, I'm convinced that a mind that has the ability to live in a continuous state of open-minded non-duality is the most evolved and powerful organism on our planet. It is also the level of human consciousness capable of manifesting and sustaining the level of unconditional love, compassion, and forgiveness taught by Jesus and history's other enlightened spiritual teachers. Unlike the narcissistic dualism of our primitive ego, which is stuck in its own subjective beliefs about how things, quote, should be, the non-duality of an open mind has the power to transform and enlighten human consciousness, the ability to grow, and most importantly, the ability to become. Given the technological growth taking place in our world today, the ability to embrace the non-dual consciousness of an open mind, I think, is one of the most important survival skills the human species will need to master in the next few generations. Until humanity in general, and that includes you and I, are collectively able to achieve the evolved consciousness of an open mind and non-dual thinking that goes with an open mind, the future survival of humanity is going to become increasingly problematic. Until we learn to let go of the belief that we possess the standard by which others should live their life, we will only continue to create conflict and violence in the world. So what are the characteristics of an open mind? Well, an open mind is a mind that rests in a consciousness that's 180 degrees from the closed mind of our dualistic, self-focused ego, the part of us that already knows the truth and has difficulty seeing other possibilities. The both and non-dual thinking of an open mind is very easy to achieve, but it's hard to sustain. And when we have learned to search for the middle path truths on both sides of every issue, we will discover in the non-duality and open-mindedness that results, we'll discover the elusive master key needed to open the doors of personal happiness, healthy relationships, and a successful life. Enlightened mystic Bernadette Roberts reminds us that to come upon truth in itself, we must go beyond the truth in ourselves, beyond our endless subjective ideas about how things should be, is what she's talking about. Open mind means that we are open to other possibilities and perspectives, other alternatives and new ideas, and that includes the ability to listen non-judgmentally to others without using our ego's subjective knowing to kind of quietly judge and defensively dismiss everything that others are telling us that we really know in our heart is wrong. An open mind is a level of not knowing that's capable of seeing and embracing the true reality that's just outside the subjectivity of our own personal frame of reference. Open mind is not simply a great concept or idea to be thought about. It's a non-dual way of actually living one's life. Non-duality is not a spiritual goal to be achieved. It is simply the spiritual path that will ultimately lead us into the spiritual wholeness and oneness and the interconnected presence of everything in our created universe. A presence we call God or the Creator. A presence that rests just beyond the experience and dualism of our self-focused primitive ego. Stony Hill Nugget 184, take 1. Channel. And I did it again. There's a lot to doing these movies, isn't there? I got my stuff here. I'm ready to go.